All right. Meg, welcome to the Connect Raleigh Member Spotlight. I'm so happy to chat with you today. How are you?
Thank you, Chuck. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I was excited when we first connected. I guess it's been a couple of weeks now to do a member spotlight and feature you and introduce you to everybody in the group. So I appreciate you taking some time to do it today.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. Let's do it. So let's start there. Let's tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. Where are you from?
Sure. Well, I'm from North Carolina originally. I was born in Charlotte, lived in the Triangle for almost 40 years. I should date myself that way, but over 30 for sure. I've lived in Chapel Hill, Durham, Raleigh, but Raleigh specifically for at least the past 30 years. So I'm definitely a native, I would say, to the area. And I just love Raleigh in general. And I appreciate what you do to raise the awareness of the awesomeness of our space.
Well, thank you for that. It's pretty easy to do living here. It's kind of, it doesn't make it hard on us to promote Raleigh.
Not at
Pretty
all.
fantastic place, or, networking in general. And I know that you're a big fan of networking as well. You how important is networking to you in your personal life and your professional life?
Sure. Yeah. Networking to me is something that I learned probably from my younger years. My dad was a businessman, and so I learned the power of being able to network for not just professional, but personal reasons as well. I have the job that I have today because of networking, and I also do Toastmasters here in the Raleigh area. I'm currently the president of a local Toastmasters club called High Noon Toastmasters. And that's all about networking and professional development too. And so those are all things that I'm pretty passionate about.
I love that. I can relate to the power of networking and watching my dad do it. My dad sold cars in a small town that we lived in, and everywhere I went, he knew somebody. And it wasn't just he knew somebody; he knew everything about that somebody. Right? He knew the kids and how many goals they had in the soccer game last week, and all the things. And if we would go out to dinner as a family, I was always so mad because it would take like 3 hours because he would talk to everybody. And it's funny how now I do that. My wife hates it.
I knew we were kindred spirits because my dad was in the car industry too before he retired. He kind of still is, but
no kidding.
Yeah, it definitely takes networking to be successful in many industries for sure. So it's helped me in every industry I've been part of. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Which is why we got this group here, right? The power of networking. And I believe, and you've heard me say it, we talked about it earlier. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and the right connection can open up just so many doors for people, especially in today's world, right? The power of networking is just so important. So that's why I try to put so much effort into this group we've got here. But let's circle back and dive into the whole Toastmasters thing. Like that's always been something that's interested me, and I find fascinating. So tell us a little bit about your group.
Yeah, well, I personally have, been speaking professionally since, I started in banking years ago. And even though I wasn't on the sales side of things, I had to speak occasionally when I was pulled into a presentation to speak on what we did in my department and that sort of a thing. So, I was always looking to improve my skills, but I also actually had a very strong speech impediment as a child, and I had lots of speech therapy. I stuttered to the point where I couldn't say my own name. I get made fun of, even beat up, in school and stuff. It was pretty traumatizing. And to be able to learn how to be an effective communicator to me has clearly probably stemmed from my challenges as a child to speak. And I look forward to not only improving my own skills, but to support others who might have similar concerns with their speaking. But also there's a lot of great folks. We have such a cool club that I'm part of now. We have people that are not just afraid to talk, but we also have TED Talk. We have a TED Talk coach as a member of our club. So you really run the gamut of very experienced all the way down to people that really have hardly ever spoken before. And it's wonderful to have the diversity that we have in our club. And just like many organizations, we struggled through COVID. We've kept a fairly decent membership in our club, but obviously some have fallen off. We're looking to start meeting again in person, and I'm always looking to invite folks to participate in Toastmasters and join our club or another Toastmasters club as well. So I'd love to tell the Connect Raleigh folks that that opportunity is open to them should they have interest in honing their own skills of public speaking, leadership, and that sort of a thing.
And it's so important and so necessary. I remember in college, my first public speaking class, I think I told you this when we first met. I took a public speaking class, maybe my freshman or sophomore year of college, and I was petrified to do it. I was so scared. I couldn't even fathom doing anything like you and I are doing right now. And I stood up in front of the class and I don't remember anything. I just completely blacked out from the whole experience. I remember standing up and I remember sitting down and no idea what happened in the middle.
I can relate entirely. I mean, I've told folks too, you know, you wouldn't even imagine the simplest thing, like in class when I was in middle school, for example, you go around the room and you have to introduce yourself, and all they say is go around the room and say your own name. Well, my name was Meg or Megan, and an M sound was incredibly hard for me to say. And so I would be petrified by just the teacher going around the room and asking somebody to introduce themselves and say their own name. So obviously, to go from being able to struggle saying my own name to speaking is it's just an important progression for me, and I never want to be complacent in skill sets. So I think it's wonderful.
And not just speaking, but now as the president of the organization, helping other people speaking and hone their skills. I love that. So say somebody's watching and I can ask you 1,000 different questions here, but say somebody's watching and they're nervous, but they want to get involved, or somebody's just ready to jump right in. What's the best way to connect with you? And how do you talk to people that are maybe a little bit nervous to help them get started and join an organization like this?
Yeah, I would tell them that, you know, look up a club and visit one. Right now, a lot of them are still on Zoom. They're rarely meeting in person yet, but I think that's starting to happen more and more. But look up a Toastmasters club. Ours is called High Noon Toastmasters. I can absolutely connect folks to stuff if they want to find me through LinkedIn. I can send them an invite to come as a guest, but you can actually come as a guest, check it out, get your feet wet, decide if it's something that you think would benefit you. And I say just visit. Don't be afraid to visit a club. That's usually 1 hour of your time during the week to participate. And you just got to start somewhere, really. You got to start. And I still to this day get a little apprehensive right before I speak in any kind of circumstance. So just, I always say, don't think that even the people that are doing it aren't, you know, having some of the same emotions that you are. That's what I've learned the most of, honestly, through my whole experience with Toastmasters, is that we all have very similar feelings.
Oh, so true. So true. I mean, before I do any of these or record an episode for the podcast, or I've trained on stages in front of hundreds and sometimes thousands of people, I go through those same feelings all the time. And one little shift that I started to do that really helped was, instead of telling myself, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous, or if somebody asks me how you feeling and I'm like, I'm nervous, I shifted that word from nervous to excited. And it's the exact same feeling inside your body. Your heart races, you get sweaty, your throat dries up a little bit. But when you tell yourself you're excited versus telling yourself nervous, the outcome is different.
Exactly. And it's about a lot of the talk that we tell ourselves too, I think.
Always.
So, but it's physical too. It's definitely a big connection all around.
No doubt.
The whole body connection.
So I guess one of my questions would be, what would somebody expect for their first time visiting a Toastmasters meeting or get together?
Yeah, well, Toastmasters is an international organization, and so there's some structure that's expected in certain meetings, no matter which club you visit. So if you visit ours, I can say that, like many of them, it's going to have an agenda. We usually have what we call an icebreaker when you open up the meeting, and it just kind of goes around. And if people want to participate, it's just a really quick answer a question, an opportunity to speak in a room. But we usually have 1 or 2 speeches each day, usually not each day, once a week during our meeting. And they're usually about 5 or 10 minutes, 5 or 7 minutes. And we have a couple little activities other than the speeches so that everybody can hopefully get a chance to speak. And then we have evaluations, which I think is the most valuable part. And it takes somebody really being humble and open-minded to hear critique about your speaking, but that's why we're all there. And it's my favorite part, is it's mature, constructive, just really great feedback that other Toastmasters provide to say, hey, you used filler words. You said 15 times. You started every sentence off with the word so, or you said these words that were offensive, or whatever it might be. There's all kinds of interesting feedback that you get that before you go to Toastmasters, you never may have realized. Even the best speakers don't realize that they have these hangups that could slightly improve their public speaking skills. So I think it's great for everybody, even if you are an experienced speaker, who speaks in front of hundreds of folks. So
I love that. I love that. And that would make me a little bit nervous because I know I use all those words. I start everything with, or so. I do those things. I do the ums.
Yeah.
So I just said so. It would be interesting to hear how many times I actually say it. So
even our most distinguished Toastmasters do it all the time. It's nothing that you actually perfect. So it's just something to be mindful of.
Very cool. Well, Meg, I appreciate you coming on and telling everybody about the group. And you did mention LinkedIn. Is that the best way for people to connect with you if they want to learn more about you or about the organization?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. The hardest thing is to spell my name correctly. My last name is MacNabb. So look for Meg MacNabb. And I'd love to connect with anybody who's interested in Toastmasters or anything else.
I love it. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you sharing so much about the organization and just being a willing resource to connect through the Connect Raleigh group and get to know more people. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for what you do. I know it's probably a lot of work, and I think what you do is very inspiring and commendable. And I look forward to learning more from you.
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Connect Raleigh, reach out, connect with Meg, and let's build some good relationships here. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.